Namaste, everybody. On the occasion of World Mental Health Day 2020, we thought we will make this presentation, which will probably be brief, but will have lot of question answers and discussion about the theme for this year's World Mental Health Day, which is mental health for all, greater investment and greater access. I hope you're all able to hear us and see our screen as well.
World Mental Health Day 2020. But first, it started in 1992 with the intention of for mental health for all. And this year's theme is greater investment and greater access. As we all know, and we are going through this deadly pandemic, in this situation, even if the virus has not hit us, many of the mental insecurities they have hit us hard, and through that all of us are suffering. We have seen many people taking drastic decisions and ending their lives as well. So I am Dr. Mayur V Kaku. I am a neurosurgeon. I do surgeries on brain and spine. In addition to that, I teach yoga.
And I am Dr. Saumya Shri Kaku. I have done my PhD in clinical neurosciences and have a specialization in child and adolescent mental health.
So today we are going to tell you the brief about mental health. As we all know that WHO has defined health as physical, mental, and social well-being of a person, and not merely an absence of any disease. However, if all of you have been following us for a long time, you know that we have considered spirituality, the spiritual health, also as one of the important factors in our existence. So, what is the definition of mental health, Dr. Soumeshri?
So, mental health is a state of well being in which basically the individual person realizes his or her own abilities. They know how to cope with normal stresses of life and they can work productively through these stresses and also can make contribution to the community around them.
Yes, definitely. It's not only about being healthy and being healthy for our own selves. We should be able to contribute to our community as well. That is most important aspect of human existence. So why a neurosurgeon is interested in mental health? Not just because my wife is a child psychiatrist, but in addition to that, if I understand deeply the cause for road traffic accidents, see this man here is injured and he has head injury, he is unconscious because of many reasons. One of the reasons is drinking and driving. All of us know that drinking is associated with mental disturbance. People under stress try to hold on to the bottles of liquor and try to forget about their stress, forget about their anxieties, forget about their depression or anything which is bothering them. They try to forget that with the use of drugs. Isn't it, Dr. Someshri?
Yeah, I think it's like an easy go to solution. I just mentioned that in the definition of mental well being, it is the ability to cope with normal stresses of life. And when you can't cope, when you have not learned the techniques to cope, when you're not learned the resilience and have the ability to cope with these kind of stresses, a lot of people resort to this kind of habituation.
Exactly. Now, this does not only end with the bottle of a liquor. As we all know, that many people they go on. Yes, video is off. Pihu, I don't know what has happened to the camera, the integrated camera. We are not able to bring up the video. I'm sorry for that. We have tried, but we are not able to get it. Okay, fine. So here you can see variety of ingredients are being used to disturb one's mental health, and we all know that when a person consumes all these things, the mental well-being is lost. It is only a momentary relief, and after that, what are the consequences? Dr. Someshri is going to tell us in brief.
Yeah, so many times when people resort to this kind of habituation, these are not things which usually is exposed to the body. So obviously, when they have it, there is an acute kind of a reaction, and then afterwards, there's again an acute kind of a reaction which goes the other way, in the wrong way, in the form of various withdrawal symptoms, similar to what you saw in the picture in the person who had a head injury. Maybe he was intoxicated, but maybe he had a consequence of chronic use of alcohol or drugs as well. So there can be withdrawal symptoms ranging from tremors to cognitive issues to delirium, to financial stressors as well, which are associated with consumption of all these kind of substances.
Absolutely correct, Soumeshri. It is a huge business all across the world, and it is responsible for lot of anti-social activities as well. This does not only lead to self harm, it leads to conditions or situations where people start harming others as well. Just because they are in need of money or they are in need of the drugs, they start becoming violent and they start becoming antisocial, which is exactly opposite of what we seek or what we should be seeking in our lives. So let us move forward. One more point here. Because of trauma, because of assaults, I have seen many patients getting injured on their head, on their spine, and they get head injuries, they get spine injuries, through which they have many neurological deficits as well. This is one more consequence of either not having proper mental health or consequence of drug addiction, where the weaker member in the family is usually assaulted and leads to many head injuries, spine injuries as well. That is why, as a neurosurgeon, when I sit back and think about a single patient or another patient or another patient, I keep on understanding that it is not only related to our just injury aspect, it is related to deep rooted parts of our mental well being as well. So, what is your say about domestic violence, and what are the issues? What are the mental disturbances you have seen, Dr. Soumeshri, and anything important about children facing all the problems?
Yeah, so one of the most important things when we talk about domestic violence and why it's also relevant in 2020 is also because of the fact that, because of the corona pandemic which is going on, everyone is confined to home, and because of this we have seen in the newspapers also that there's an increased incidence of domestic violence which is going on. Also, another most important thing which we have to remember, or in my perspective as a child mental health professional, what is important is the kind of impact this domestic violence will have on our future generation, that is the children and adolescents. When they witness one of the members of the family going through domestic violence, they have a chronic impact on their brain, the way they think about life, the way they perceive about people, the way they understand the society and community in a completely different way. It obscures reality, it changes the path of the way they assume and understand the community and society, and it gives them a false impression of the impact of domination, the impact of power, and all of these kind of things which come associated with domestic violence. In turn, like Dr. Mayur just mentioned, this also leads to future antisocial personality in children, which in turn can also result in increased substance use, including drugs and alcohol.
So basically, it is a vicious cycle. We are just sowing the seeds for future antisocial animals. Now, another thing which I see generally is because of the stress, because of not able to handle the work pressure, people they have long hours of work and they disturb their postures. They don't follow proper techniques of sitting, lying down, and proper timetable in life is not there, through which, as you can see, this fellow is holding his lower back, and most probably after a few days he is going to take a leave for undergoing a surgery. This is a very common phenomenon which I saw in last 10 years of my neurosurgical experience, that people just come that I have a disc prolapse, I have this, I have that, I have spondylosis. They don't understand that they are still young, very young, to have all these problems. Now I am seeing even in 7-year-old child, it was so disastrous to see the MRI of that child, because of prolonged use of mobile and gaming things. He had cervical kyphosis. It means that the neck was bent so forward that the child was having so many symptoms in the form of numbness in the hands, weakness in the hands, hand grip weakness, and all these things. It was so scary to observe that the technology which is supposed to be useful for us is actually harming us in a big way. So that is why, as you all now have understood, many of you know me for a long time, that why a neurosurgeon is stressing on mental health. Road traffic accidents are because of mental disturbance, alcohol related deaths because of mental disturbance, drugs because of mental disturbance, violence because of mental disturbance, and spinal degeneration also has a very deep rooted uh, factor in terms of mental disturbance. So it means that if I have understood as a doctor, I should be definitely understanding the mental health definition, and that is what is I have to make a contribution to my community. Also, many of you know that I have been a yoga practitioner, and my background is through the yoga I have grown up. So that is why I try to find root cause of the problem. And all of us know that root cause of the problem is our manas, our mind. Mind is very, very fluctuating. It is very, very chanchala. So that is what is to be targeted. And if I want to make a contribution, I should not only do 10,000 surgeries and 20,000 surgeries, I should prevent lakhs and lakhs of surgeries by talking about this, by trying to repair my society through these points. I should help my fellow beings to lead a healthy and a happy life. So there are some infamous statistics Dr. Soumyashri would like to stress upon.
So, one of the things which is very striking and which even WHO mentions is the fact that um, mental health by itself um, is underdiagnosed, and across the world, close to 1 billion people suffer from a mental health disorder. And deaths related to alcohol is close to around 3 million. And 75% of people in middle and low income countries do not get any treatment. Here, from a child mental health professional perspective, I must stress the fact that in 90% of children and adolescents with a mental health problem, the society, I do not want to particularly say parents or doctors or teachers, I can say as a society as a whole, we fail to recognize even the presence of a mental health disorder. And in this meager 10% of children who really are brought to a professional, only around 5% of them actually go on to get any kind of treatment for the same. And as a result of all these things, you can see the picture which is on the left hand side here, which Dr. Mayur will elaborate upon.
This is the news, and this is the part of the blog from Dr. Anurag Kumar. He was a psychiatry resident working in AIMS New Delhi. AIMS New Delhi is supposed to be one of the elite institutions not only in India but in the world. So he, being a psychiatry resident, he committed suicide. There are many reasons for that. We should not go into the details of that. But being in the most premier institution, he was not able to get the treatment properly, maybe, and he could not we survived. He decided to jump from the 10th floor of his hostel and he committed suicide. Not only this, I have a very old example of my own roommate, my own MBBS classmate. His sister had schizophrenia for years and years together, and nobody knew it. The day she tried to murder her own father, at that day, he calls me and tells me, Mayur, you are in Nimhans. Can you help me? And I asked, since how long it is going on? Then he told that this is going on since last 13 years. After 13 years, he tells me, I knew him for 13 years. And after 13 years, he's telling me that has been going on since 13. And then I asked, what are you doing? What you have done? They had not taken even psychiatric help despite being doctor. The self medication was going on. Here specialty management is very, very important, and sometimes we miss the diagnosis. Sometimes there is more to the treatment, not only the medications. It is always, I stress on non medical treatment as well. And to remove the disturbance in the mind, one of the best practices is yoga. And proper practice of yoga, as all of you have experienced also in last 7 months, we have all been going through the live streaming journey on the YouTube channel. Many of us have confessed and many of us have gone through the better experiences despite having lot of negativity in the surrounding. I have told you on the YouTube streaming also that I have been able to help 4 people to prevent the suicidal thought, to prevent the suicidal action. That is possible, but for that we all need to develop that acumen in understanding the fellow human being. Most probably Anurag Kumar was not understood by his fellow human beings, and he was not able to express himself. There is something which we need to find out in other person and try to help. We cannot go beyond the limits, but yes, definitely we can set up a system where that person is engaged and reaches proper treatment. So Dr. Soumyashri is going to elaborate about risk factors and protective factors which are to be understood for mental health.
So let me begin with the protective factors. First, to understand what are the positive things which are there around us, what helps us be better human beings, and what are the things which help us in maintaining a positive mental health. So, of course, we have the national mental health policy. The government is trying to give guidelines. They are trying to give the society support through various national programs at district level, state level, at primary health center level, even in the rural areas. And this is slowly picking up. But like you saw in the previous slide, it's not enough for our population. Second, there are child support, social protection agencies and grants which try to protect children who are in difficult situations like orphan homes, street children, children who are subjected to child trafficking and these child abuse kind of children. And they try to protect to be able to give them a better protected environment to grow up well and have a positive mental health. Again, positive role models, family cohesiveness, and positive parenting play a very big role. Some of you have seen my YouTube channel, which talks about the importance of positive parenting, having a positive parental mental health itself, which can contribute to having a good mental health in the children who are actually the future of this country, and also having a positive mental health to create a positive community mental health. So mental health is not just related to one person, one human being, but it's a collective, like Dr. Mayur keeps telling, it's a collective consciousness. When you create a positive surrounding, you create a positive family. That family can create 10 other families who are in their close circle to have positive mental health. They can support each other to have positive mental health. When we, on the other hand, when we look at the downside, the risk factors which contribute to negative mental health or which does not contribute to development of positive mental health. We, like we discussed just now, substance abuse of any form, experiencing abuse, social, physical or sexual abuse of any form, having negative role models, negative peer influences, being bullied at school, at workplace, at home by another family member, exposing our children to family conflict, uh, poor parental supervision of children, especially in younger ages when they are deviating in their path when they are growing up, having malnutrition, poverty, inequality in the society, non availability of resources to all members equally. All of these things contribute to not a good development of positive mental health in the community per se. So, if you see these risk factors and protective factors, a lot of these things basically weigh on what we expose our children to. And as practitioners of yoga, spirituality, I think it's very necessary for all of us to also come together and understand how we, as practitioners of this amazing ancient practice, ancient knowledge which has been given by our ancestors, and the use of which we can become positive role models, maybe to our children, maybe to our immediate family, but also to our community, to foster positive mental health. Dr. Mayur will talk a little bit about interventions.
Intervention always has to be multi-pronged. As you saw, there are multiple hands here. It cannot be done by a single person. Most important thing is that it cannot be done by a single person. It cannot be done by a single hand. Okay. So first of all, lifespan approach means it is not only just a moment of like 3 weeks or 6 weeks of treatment. It is not like that. Mental health is a continuous process. That is why we tell no, yoga is a way of life. Here I consider yoga as one of the most important aspects into our mental well-being. That is why it should be lifespan approach, early intervention and antenatal and ECD. So what does all these things mean is we should find out the mental problems early in life. Most important is to find in children and to rear our children also properly. As you would have seen, if a tree is not taken care initially, in the form of a sapling, it is not taken care, it grows wildly. But if it is given a proper support, it grows vertical and its branches boom, its branches flourish, and it gives a big shadow, big amount of large amount of fruits and large amount of benefits. Okay, so it is the nurturing of the children at early age is very, very important. Antenatal means in pregnancy. Here, if I want to compare, in our Sanskriti, we have showed us sanskaras. One of the sanskara is called as Garbha Sanskara. Here they are telling antenatal, but Garbha Sanskara has been there since thousands of years. Collaborative care clinics to schools and communities. Yes, once again, schools are extremely important. Don't take the schools so lightly. Please focus on the behavior and focus on the changes which are happening in your child when the child is coming back from the school. Create a create an a rapport between you and your child, that your child tells you everything what happens at the school. Schools are very dangerous places nowadays. I'm not defaming the education system, but yes, schools are very dangerous. We have to observe and we have to keep an eye, continuous eye on our children. Social justice approach, children grants, youth training and employment opportunity. Yes, we all know employment, if it is there, person grows. Employment is not there, person starts becoming antisocial. Mental health investment to target poverty, violence and unemployment. It is very, very important for governments to consider mental health in development. Otherwise, the health infrastructure is very poor in helping the poor people, helping the unemployed people. There is no infrastructure as such. That is why I will come to the point what we need to do as the members of society. Okay, it takes a lot of courage, lot of guts to what I am going to say, but yes, definitely it needs to be understood. Incorporate indigenous concepts. See here, if you give indigenous, That is where there comes the role of our Sanskriti. That is where the role of our scriptures. Okay, so we need to develop indigenous concepts, like through yoga practice, through the understanding of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We should try to improve our karma, and through that we should be able to help others, not only in terms of mental health, but also in terms of living a good life. Translate national child and adolescent mental health policy into practice. Yes, knowledge is always there, but it is the practical implementation which is most important. Some points about that Dr. Soumeshri is going to tell you how practical implementation is important and how it should be done.
Yeah, so when you heard about these interventions, I would want to give you a basic example of, you know, probably let us assume that one of the family members has to undergo a major surgery. Now you just imagine, if the family member has to undergo a major surgery, the rest of the family members have to adopt to that kind of a situation, and they have to figure out their financial needs, they have to deal with the stress, they have to help out each other during the period of hospitalization. And when hospitals and healthcare facilities and doctors are not really giving support in terms of mental health care to these family members, you can just imagine the plight of the family. And then this is the chain where it starts, you know, and somebody will have diabetes, some other family member will develop hypertension, and then they will come to a general physician. So it's basically a vicious cycle. One event triggers the other and another and another, especially when mental health needs are not supported by the family. So going back to what needs to be done at various stages is that in the preschool period itself, you know, now there is this new concept of first 1000 days, that is from birth till the age of 5 years. 1000 days is a new concept which all the corporate hospitals have come. But do you remember your grandmother used to tell you, or you know, you might have heard your grandmother telling in the family that uh, if at all you don't teach your kids what you have to teach in the first 5 years of life, then you won't be able to teach them about it ever. Now that is the concept which we knew long long ago. And this is when the child's developmental potential is the maximum, and this is the period when the opportunity for early learning is enormous. The brain is developing at an exponential rate, and this is where we have to really place a base for our children, if at all they have to grow up to maintain positive mental health in the community. Again, like Dr. Mayur mentioned, in primary school and high school period, it's very necessary to keep a watch on how they are learning, what they are learning, who they are with, what are the practices and habits they are going through, which is very very essential to make sure that they develop with positive mental health. Again, in the pregnancy period, like during the garbha sanskara, reducing antenatal depression. You know, this is why our ancestors and our grandparents always used to say a pregnant woman should not be angry, should not be listening to people yelling around in the house. It should be a conducive environment for growth of the fetus in a very beautiful way, should listen to beautiful music, should eat really good food. You have all heard about the panchakoshas and the dhyana, the yoga practices which can be done in the antenatal period from Dr. Mayur in his yoga series. But the importance of it cannot be stressed enough. Nowadays, as a researcher with me working in a center of advanced research in Bangalore, we are going back to literature and we are reading about how genes play a role in the antenatal period, and genes definitely are influenced by environment. And the concept in the modern medicine is called as epigenetics, which is nothing other than garbha sanskara. How epigenetics, how all these environmental influences can cause brain changes in the child even during pregnancy, and how this in turn can impact the child's personality once the child is born, once the child grows up. And many of the disorders like for example autism, schizophrenia, hyperactivity, and all of these things in modern medicine are being told that it's an influence of epigenetics during the pregnancy period which impact brain growth. uh,
Here, Shiv Shankar ji has asked a very interesting question, and I think you all have enjoyed the example on the YouTube channel also. He has asked me about some childhood experiences have impacted people after many years, maybe 30 or 35 years. Why does this happen? I have personally known these cases. Now, if you remember, I had mentioned about the 43-year-old story of a person getting married to his wife. Before marriage, he had visited a prostitute, and then after 43 years so later, now he has a daughter, a granddaughter, and all these things. That point, he is telling to his wife that I may be having HIV positivity because I had contracted a prostitute 43 years back before our marriage. So this happened because of fear and anxiety. The whole process of yoga is to come to a samasthiti. Now, what is samasthiti? Samasthiti means not having any disturbance in the mind, even when you are happy or you are sad or you are excited or you are depressed. What does it mean? Most of us, everybody, there is no exception. Even in the avatars also you see the mahima and maya of gods. Why all these things happen is because we fall prey to the childish mind, to the chanchal mana, and this happens because of fluctuations of the neurotransmitters. How to maintain these neurotransmitters is through the practice of yoga, through regular journaling, through regular introspection. This regular introspection is very, very important. And here, one most important point is to have healthy discussion with people. Now, if suppose that person who wanted to visit a prostitute, did he take a proper guidance from anybody? Did he talk to his friends? Did he talk or did he have any fear about his parents? Now there should be a very good interaction between you and your parents, between you and your friends, and you have to choose your friends very, very wisely. So your company takes you to either heights or makes you fall down in the ditches. So that is how, and the memories of this, all these things will be eating you for years and years together. And when a proper time comes when you can't bear with the memories of all these things, you will, burp out all the negativities which are lying inside. That is why we should have that understanding of our scriptures, where we understand that every moment we are dying and every moment we are being born. This understanding is very, very vital for us to have a good mental health, because this body is just one part of our existence. We all know this. So let us move on from slightly spiritual discussion to more practical solution. Here, Dr. Soumeshri is going to tell us about how to do the promotion of mental health. Okay.
yeah, so mental health can basically be corrected at various levels. So as you can see in this picture, it can be corrected at an individual level, it can be connected at the family level, it can be corrected at the community level, or at the systems level and society level. Of course, at the systems level, government is doing a lot of things. At the society level, you are all doing a lot of things, we are all together doing a lot of things, maybe by talking about it, maybe to begin with by the practice of yoga and positivity, but also by supporting each other in times of difficulties, and also at the individual and family level. Again, it is really very essential for all of us to make sure that wherever we are working, our physical work environments and our working conditions should be maintained in a way that we facilitate positive mental health. So if you're a boss, make sure that your employees are not having issues with each other. Make sure you may have a conducive work environment where everybody are able to share their experiences, share their issues, and maintain a positive work environment. Again, if at all you have an educational system, make sure that the children are taught about how to maintain positive mental health, how to prevent bullying. If there is a bully, how do you correct that bully? How do you make that bully become a positive person? All of these things also have to be kept in mind, and they're very, very important. A lot of experimenting is needed, definitely, but it is definitely possible for us to all contribute to these things. Of course, biology and genetics cannot be changed to a very large extent, but now in the latest times, like I've just mentioned, epigenetics can be altered, and in turn a healthy child can develop.
There comes once again the role of yoga. Here today, a very interesting thing happened. One of the head and neck surgery consultant, we were talking, and she told, "Sir, now I believe in yoga." I asked why, what happened. She told, my own grandfather is 86 years old, and he was having obstructive sleep apnea. I have to take, I'm very sorry that this sleep thing has gone into some dark spaces. We will do that. Obstructive sleep apnea for 86-year-old person. The grandfather tells the grandchild, that is the doctor, that I will treat it without any problem. And he practices yoga and pranayama for a long time. With that, his vision has improved. Even ophthalmologist has acknowledged that at 86 years of age, his vision has improved, and he is not more anymore interested in doing the cataract surgery. So he has avoided cataract surgery. One. Second thing is, he is stopped snoring now. In obstructive sleep apnea, most important thing which happens is snoring. So if these changes are happening in the body right now, it means that the healing and the repair mechanism is not allowing the bad genes to act on the body and destroy the body. It means that the yoga system is improving the good genes and telling the good genes to execute good hormones and good neurotransmitters, through which the body is remaining healthy for a longer time. So we are seeing live examples, and many of you have also personally shared so many beautiful experiences of your own that you have seen. So it means that epigenetics is a continuous process of evolving. It is a continuous process of improving, and we are only responsible for transmitting better genes to the future through us or through our own experiences. So we should be the example. That is why my punchline is, let us be the change you want to see in the world. Okay, let us move on to the next slide. Dr. Soumya, please.
So, World Mental Health Day 2020 also talks about having more peer workers for greater access. And I think all of you are peer workers to all of you, each other, and us as well. Where basically, peer workers means people who provide support for people who may be experiencing mental health challenges. One thing which I really would want to mention here is that there is no human being on this planet who does not face a mental health challenge. This is something which I tell all the families who come with their children to me and talk about the difficulties they have, because they assume that it is only happening to them. Just to give you an example, today I had a child who was 7 years old, and he's continuously um, passing urine in his pant. A 7 year old, definitely, who has a normal development, should not be doing that, but he is doing it, and he has gotten all kinds of evaluation. Everything is okay, but the nephrologist, urologist, all of them have seen him, and they have told them that it's a functional problem. Functional basically just means that it's the mind game. The mind is playing the game. And what was the game? The game was that he was completely stressed out because his parents were constantly arguing and fighting with each other, just for silly things, not even a big marital discord, just small things like, why didn't you fill up the water bottle, or why was the geyser not switched off on time, or things like that. So here, if we have to work with each other as peer workers to support people who may be facing mental health challenges, they actually started blaming themselves. They were guilty. The parents said, we have done this to our child. So I said, see, the very fact that you're admitting that you have done it, it just means that you have positive mental health. So help others who are having difficulties. Don't make them feel blamed. Don't make them feel guilty for what they are going through. Don't make the family members don't make the family members feel guilty about themselves for landing up you landing up in this situation. So many times people say in our family it is very difficult, my parents are very strict, or I can't do this because there's too much work. Yes, every family will have that, but it will be in varying degrees and varying permutations and combinations. So it is really very necessary to work as peer workers, not only for family but also to the community and society. And especially for people who are in hospitals, or this is another thing, especially in the COVID time. One of my colleagues' father was admitted in the hospital and treated for COVID for 30 days. Once he got discharged and went back home, obviously they would have discharged him after him becoming COVID negative, right? But in spite of it, his own brothers and sisters called him and told him, Anna, you have just got discharged from the hospital. We will not come to see you. You recover well. We will come after 1 or 2 months once the COVID situation goes away. This is the kind of stigma which people have. This is just a simple example of COVID. Now you think that father apparently was crying, saying, this is worse, I should have just died in the hospital, because at least then my brothers and sisters would have come to see me. He was so much depressed after getting discharged from the hospital. So this is what is needed to make our community be supported well, where we understand each other's difficulties, where we understand each other's points of view, step into the other one's shoes and find out, because what you see might not be the real truth, and support them through peer services in any way possible. If you cannot support, at least point towards support. If you cannot really support by yourself, that is also what is very, very important.
So here, what is most important is peer work. We all know what is peer work. Okay. So the most important thing is that many a times patients, they don't come to hospital. If one is trained at workplace only, if one is trained with some techniques of psychotherapy and understanding, maybe through yoga also, if you have deeper understanding of life, you may be able to help others. Okay. So access to early intervention is not possible for everybody. And as we saw, there are many examples right now also, even big Bollywood celebrities also, they are not able to seek proper treatment, and they are into pool of drugs, and so much of things are happening right now. We all are facing and understanding that situation. Here, another thing is that if family members, here it is written, no, reduces cyclic hospital readmission of people with mental health conditions. See, repeated hospital admission happens because family members are not trained properly. If family members are trained properly, they themselves will be able to reduce the trigger of mental disturbance, and that through that they will reduce the readmission. Okay. Satisfaction and quality of life improves when we all take care of each other's mental well-being. Now, I will be very frank here that in medical fraternity, it is a high stress condition and high stress situation. And especially during the training times and all these things, there are a lot of things which come into play. There are a lot of there is a lot of politics also in medical system also. I will be very, very frank, because there is some time we all need to understand and we all need to face the truth. And due to that, people don't develop good interpersonal relationships. It is called as professional jealousy. We all know that in every, not only in medical field, in every field, this professional jealousy is there. But for at what cost? We are spending almost 10 to 12 hours of our life at our workplace, and it means that 50% of our life we are spending at our workplace. Why don't we learn to make it as good as our own home? It is most important point. Try to be good to others. Don't develop professional jealousy. There is nothing in keeping this professional jealousy. That is how the greater satisfaction and quality of life can come to us. That is what is my understanding. Peers can elicit information from a person, and that a clinician sometimes cannot. Yes, many a times I have seen beautiful explanations by patients' relatives rather than the patient or the doctor's reports. Okay, don't believe in other doctors' reports, not because I think that I am superior to other doctors, but I know that if I allow my patients to speak, they are going to give me great amount of information and insight into the mind of that same person, assist people to successfully transition back into the community. Very very important. If we put a stigma, oh, this person is schizophrenic, oh, that person is autistic, oh, that person is depressed fellow, he is always depressed, he is useless fellow, this kind of comments I have seen in medical fraternity also. Can a medical person tell like that, oh, he is depressed fellow, he is useless fellow? It means that you are denying your own modern scientific knowledge that that person is depressed because of lack of neurotransmitters, not because of the any kind of mood swings or many kind of drama he is doing. He is not doing the drama, he is doing it because he has lack of neurotransmitters. So we should know and we should empathize with the people who are having psychiatric disturbances. Improvement in meaningful activities and outcomes, definitely employment, housing, finances, and all these things, many meaningful activities we can do, like this yoga practice. See, we can give our own life examples only. We don't want to give other life examples because we don't know with what intention or with whatever things which people do. We feel that by helping others in terms of yoga, in terms of social activities, it gives meaning to our lives. And not only we, all of us should do that, so that we create a bigger circle of influence, bigger circle of positivity. If I can do, so can you. And there are better times ahead. Always, whenever somebody comes to you, suppose if I go to my professor and I tell, see, I am feeling this kind of difficulty in life. I know you are useless. I know you cannot do it. This or else, see, I also face same kind of situation in my young age. And I think that this is how it can be done. And I could solve my problem with this kind of efforts. I will help you out. See, these are two ways of doing these things. So don't be the first person, be the second person. Be the person who instills confidence in others rather than destroying that person's dreams. Better decision making is very very important in having good mental health. And our peers can help us if they are not professionally jealous to us. If they are professionally jealous, they may misguide us. So we need to understand, we should have that discrimination, that capability of judgment. Okay. And judgment does not mean that we start because the next point is genuine, unconditional, and non-judgmental listening to another person. Judgment is like you should be wise enough to what to take from other and what not to take from other person. And when you are giving some advice, then give genuine advice, give unconditional advice, give pure advice from bottom of your heart. Encourage personal responsibility, help others, but at the same time make them stand on their own feet. Facilitate education and support groups. So this is not just to be talked on 10th of October 2020. It is a continuous process. And I urge all of you also to understand mental health more and more and practice it in your own life, and try to understand others also and help them out. Help people to discover their own individual unique way of managing their recovery. Provide support and encouragement to vulnerable peers. And wellness coaching, physical health promotion. So here comes the yoga. Here comes our regular 4:30 to 5:30 Brahma Muhurat yoga challenge. And mentoring, many people tell me that I am their mentor. Okay, we are all each other's mentors, and we should be. Now, mentoring does not mean that we should compulse people to do things. We can pursue it, but we cannot make people to do on command. Okay. Suicide prevention, that is I think I have shared this example also, that how I came from Pondicherry to Bangalore. The reason was preventing a suicide of one person who was doing obs gynae, and then later on he recovered. So is the benefit of peer work. So I have experienced all these things, I have experienced in my own life. And I feel that peer work, without having any degree also, it's very very important. So when you provide hope, you help people to move forward. That is the way we should have the mission of life. The grass is greener, the sky is brighter, and the music sounds better when somebody gives us hope. Who better to provide such hope than someone who has lived an experience of recovery, a knowledgeable and a skilled mental health peer worker? So, this is what is the crux of matter, that we should be able to instill positivity into people. And I would like to hear from Soumyashri that what is the importance of positive words.
So, like I said, it's extremely important to be supportive. So, even if you cannot help by yourself, offer positive words. A lot of times, words are enough to be able to help people move forward. Even if you do not have the ability to help with money, help with their situation, help with medical advice, help with yogic advice, just good words. Even in the chat box, I think Supriya ji just mentioned, even a small hi hello is going to make a lot of difference. Absolutely, I agree to this. And um, it is all about not making the other person feel guilty, not blaming another person, not being judgmental, but providing hope whenever there is a crisis. Definitely, even if you, like I just said, cannot support, just provide hope. And this is another important thing which as peer workers we all can do, is probably give them an example of your situation. I went through this and I recovered, so you can also recover. But not saying I did this and this, and that is why you should also do it in the same way to come out of it. Because every person can come. If you go back to the previous slide, there is one very valuable point which Dr. Mayur mentioned: help people to discover their own individual and unique way of managing their recovery. You might have seen a lot of videos, even on Dr. Mayur's channel, about how people manage their recovery, even in the most worst of their situations. Help them discover their potential, give them hope, give them direction, and they definitely will be able to make recovery. That is what is really very important as mental health peer workers that we can contribute.
So, to end this session, I would like all of you to see this person. You all know that he is Usain Bolt, it is written here. So, he is the zenith of physical health. Then, here is one person, Vishwanathan Anand, all of you know it, and he is chess grandmaster, winning many chess competitions, world championships, and all these things. He is the zenith of maybe mental health. Okay, but we cannot compare these two. These two cannot be compared. Their areas of expertise are altogether different. We can't make Anand run for 100-meter race, and we can't make Usain Bolt sit and play chess. Correct. So that is where we should understand that each of us are unique, and our uniqueness makes the world so beautiful. So this uniqueness of life has to be cherished. Don't try to fit in another person's shoes. Don't try to measure yourself based on comments made by others. So here is another example, extreme example of what happens even if you are successful world champion, Olympic gold medalist. Do you know who is this person? Just for fun, I would like to know if anybody knows who is this person, because on his body his name is not written. This is the cover of Sports Illustrated magazine, and as you know, he's wearing very less clothes, so it means that maybe he is into some water sports. I am just giving you a hint. So anybody has any idea who is this person? Yes, he's swimming person. Huh? A swimming person. Who is that swimming person? You can't recall the name. He is Michael Phelps. He won 28 gold medals in his career. And this is his statement: I am extremely thankful that I did not take my life. Despite being such a successful person, he was not able to maintain his mental health. And these are his words actually. People are talking about it, and I think this is the only way one it can change. We all need to learn to speak in a healthy manner about mental health. That is the reason why suicide rates are going up. People are afraid to talk and open up. We should give the space to people to speak without any judgment. There are many times I have kept quiet in my means training period. I did not feel like speaking because I found that there is no meaning in speaking. People are judgmental. People are not ready to take you as an open-hearted and open-minded person. People are not ready. People have their own egos. People have their own problems which they don't want to come out of. But my persuasion to all of you will be give that space for others to speak, for others to release their fear, release their tension. Today, by sharing his experience, he has the chance to reach people and save lives. And that's the way more powerful, he said. So you should go and read this complete article, then you will understand the reference. And those moments and those feelings and those emotions for me are light years better than winning the Olympic gold medal, said Phillips. I'm extremely thankful that I did not take my life. Okay. So, with that understanding, we would like to end today's session that we should be able to give the space to people. That is the development of our greater investment, not in terms of money, but in terms of our time and our emotion we should give. We can't give money many a times, but we can definitely give our time and we can definitely give our emotions to others to come up in their lives. In terms of mental health, I feel that more money is not required. More orientation and more understanding is required rather than infrastructure as such. However, there is one more point I would like to say here is that psychiatrists also face a lot of stress, especially during this COVID time also. And unfortunate to inform you that few of our psychiatry colleagues, they have committed suicide because of the financial crunch. So we should be able to know that how to take care of our doctors, how to take care of our healthcare professionals also. I am very sorry to say this. Interpersonal relations were better in joint family in the olden days and present situation. Yes, definitely, sir. I agree with your point that it itself becomes one ward of psychiatry ward, joint family, and everybody takes care of everybody. They all become doctors, they all become patients, and everybody will take care of everybody. I remember our Abhaya Dana session. Yes, absolutely true, sir. We should not be too quick to judge ourselves and others. We should give them a chance to express themselves. Yes. Yes. Dr. Soumeshri would like to give concluding remarks.
Yeah, definitely. I think we should not be too quick to judge ourselves, but also in terms of maintaining our own positive mental health. Yes, definitely. We have all understood that we should give others space, we should listen to others, we should act as peer workers, we should uplift the community and society. But apart from all these things, we should also work on uplifting our own positive mental health, for which it's really very essential for us to not take everything by face value, not really worry about, let's say somebody says you are too fat, you are ugly, you are not capable of doing this. Do you go back, reflect upon your own self, think, is this true? And if it's not true, ignore it then and there. Do not give complete value to what other people tell about you. Definitely, if it is your close family, friend, parents, grandparents, definitely you must give it a thought. But if it's somebody in the community who is just trying to judge you, misguide you, then you should also make sure that you protect your own positive mental health to be able to help others as well. Dr. Mayur will give a couple of comments about this too.
See, I just got reminded of Jambuvant and Hanumanta, Anjanaya. Anjanaya was depressed, how to help, how to go to Sri Lanka. And Jambuvant reminded him of his own capabilities. So if you want to be the Jambuvanta. Don't be a person who misguides. Don't be a person who belittles others. Be a person who guides, who helps others to realize their own deep rooted highest potential. And that is what we can do with the regular practice and regular understanding of our scriptures. Our scriptures should not be considered just as some mythological stories. These are life experiences, these are life lessons. There is lot of psychiatry, lot of psychology in our scriptures, which already has been proven. But once again, point comes is execution part. Execution is the most important aspect of our life. Thank you, doctor, for your valuable enlightenment on mental health. Thank you, sir. It was a lovely session. Thank you very much. Okay, so action is most important. Introspection and then action. Okay, so let us finish this session with Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha. So inhale deeply, Namaskar Mudra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha. Sarve Santu Niramaya. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu. Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Always remember, all of us have to be healthy, happy, and prosperous together. None of us should suffer. All of us have to live in harmony and peace along with all other plants and animals. With that understanding, have a nice day, have a nice weekend. See you tomorrow morning. Dhanyavad.